Get ready for the Tech Zone. Wednesdays, 3 p.m. Pacific Time Zone. Add the app to your cell phone. Paul Amadeus Lane Zone. With informative interviews and breakthroughs with CEOs and gurus and who's and reviews. Count on Paul to bring y'all the news. Yeah, he done paid dues and never snoozed, refused to lose and stayed humble and still played by the rules. On the scene since 16, Pop's been Paul's gasoline. Spiritual house have to stay clean. Put the cleaner first, y'all know the routine. In the world, the sun clean disaster, it's the vaccine, so quarantine or relive the emphysema epidemic of 1918.
Hello and welcome to the Tech Zone. What is going on? It's me, Paul Amadeus Lane. I am so happy to have you on the show today. We have some very special guests. We're going to talk about tech for good and how tech is really helping to meet the need, not only for businesses, but for us personally too. And if you are a dog lover, you're really going to enjoy our very, very first interview and see how tech for pets is really meeting the needs. How you guys doing? I hope you guys are well. We welcome all of you who are on ABC News Radio, KMET, AM and FM News Radio affiliate. Also, can't forget about our other listeners as well on live stream, Roku, Fire TV, Spotify, iHeart, all the different audio streaming platforms out there. We are on there. Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify. We welcome you and we thank you for tuning in. And we started back on YouTube, even though we left YouTube for a while because you know about the algorithms. The videos just get lost in the sauce. But a lot of our clients, a lot of our ones that we've interviewed, you know, they asked that we put things back on YouTube. So we say, welcome back to YouTube. But how are you guys holding up during this time? You know, how's tech really impacting your everyday life? It's really interesting. And I've told the story before, so if I sound like a broken record, I really, really apologize. The CES, about 5 or 6 years ago, and I remember we were there for our press conferences, and back in the days, the company that put on the CES was the Consumer Electronic Association. So we noticed when we got into this press event that we didn't see CEA anymore, but we saw CTA. We didn't know what that was about. And I think it was my good friend Sean Dubervac, Dr. Sean Dubervac. He went up there and he talked about, you know, I think it was trends, our market forecast. Him and Steve both talk about certain things, Steve Koenig. But Sean mentioned that the way things are going, and Sean's a futurist too, the way things are going, that there was a rebrand for the Consumer Electronic Association to the Consumer Technology Association. And the reason why this rebrand was happening was because tech was now in every sector of business. No matter what business is out there, technology is now a part of that business. You can take a soda pop shop. You can take a novelty store, a clothing store. Every business has a component of technology in it. Think about how many businesses now have apps where you can shop. And that's why we see over the last several years, chief technology officers, because tech is integrated in everything. I mean, just anything you use in your house, your electricity, tech related now. If you have solar, tech related. And I'm just new to tech. I'm not new to tech, but new to solar. And I just put a system in my house, and I have a monitoring system on my app so I can monitor, see how my solar is doing. So technology is really, really everywhere. And I like to find out what in tech that you would like us to talk about more, because it's about you, our viewers, our listeners, and our followers. So if there's anything in tech that you are not too familiar with and like for us to explain and get some experts on to talk about it, you know, we got you back. We listen to you. We listen to all the feedback. And one of the feedback that we got was, Paul, we want to hear about pet tech, things that can help us with our furry friends, in particular dogs. Well, What is the old saying? The squeaky wheel gets the oil, correct? And that's why I am so delighted to welcome my guest. And I said guest because they're plural. We're going to talk about some amazing innovation that can help us to train our dogs and then really elicit the help of a dog expert. What am I talking about? These incredible folks right here. Joining me right now is Ken Ehrman, founding and managing partner of Halo. And we're also joined by Romil Bahl, president and CEO of Core. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good afternoon. Thanks for having us, Paul. Great to be here.
Hey, great to talk to you guys. I remember I learned about Halo, I want to say about 8 months ago.
Okay.
We got my mother a Siberian Husky who wanted to get out the gate. And I was researching different collars out there that can help us. And I came across Halo. So there's a personal story here. So I appreciate talking to you guys and finding out more about this. And also Romo talking about how Core got involved with this as well. So why don't we start off our discussion, Ken? What made you guys want to create Halo in the first place?
Well, it actually got founded out of a tragedy. Unfortunately, my niece's dog got out of their invisible fence when she was only 11 years old and was run over by a car. And it was devastating. She was hysterical. It was her first experience with death. And basically, I knew right then that I could solve that problem. That dogs wouldn't necessarily know the difference between a real wire or a GPS. Oh, there she is. She's back. So it's great. And that's really how it got started. So the idea was to replace the invisible fence with a GPS collar to keep dogs safe, but also to allow them to have a life off leash.
I love that. I love that because, dogs are freer when they're not on a leash, so we have to, make sure they can enjoy running around and being dogs. So we appreciate that. And thank you for sharing that story. And Romo, how did Core get involved with Halo?
Well, listen, our part was quite easy. Ken and his brother are, let's just say, they're multiple-time entrepreneurs. We've worked with them before. We've enabled their businesses, their IoT technology-enabled solutions that they take to their end markets. We've done that before. Seems like they think we do a good job because they called us again, and what a great cause! I tell you, I mean, millions and millions of lives, dog lives, have the potential to be helped and saved by Halo. I mean, the stat that got me excited, Paul, was, just in this country alone, in the United States alone, 10 million dogs run away every year. Okay, and about 1 million of them never come back. Right, for whatever reason, get hit by a car, like the example Ken just talked about. And so if we can do a little bit of what we do to help Ken do the great stuff he's doing with Caesar and the team, we're just delighted to do that.
I remember when my mother's dog got out. My mom was 87, and it stressed her out. And I heard it in her voice that the dog got out, and people who are not dog lovers, they don't understand just the stressful situation that happens when a dog runs away, or like when Kim was talking about the tragedy that happened with his niece, and this really gives pet owners a peace of mind. And Ken, what was the biggest challenge of bringing Halo to where it's at today? I mean, it's a great idea that you guys thought of, but I'm pretty sure there were some challenges to getting to where you are today.
Well, the biggest thing was I had been, like Romo said, in the Internet of Things business, and I was doing this kind of thing for rental cars, forklifts, and trailers, but I knew I needed a dog expert. So the biggest challenge, I figured the dog expert I needed was the best in the world, which was Cesar Millan, so the dog whisperer. So I said, how do I get him to believe in this? How do I even get to him? He's an international celebrity. So that was the biggest challenge because I knew I needed a dog expert. But when I finally did get the message to him, he was just so excited about it because to him, birds need to fly, fish need to swim, and dogs need a life off leash. And he was just so excited about it. And for the last 3.5 years working with him, really taking his vision of the collar, not just an invisible fence, but like an amazingly cool, almost like an iPhone for dogs. So it does the invisible fence, but there's much more to it than that. You can keep your dog off the couch by putting a beacon by the couch or out of the living room. It's not that the dogs are trying, the dogs love you. They want to please. So they just don't know. So really, it's almost, the collar is almost like having Caesar Milan with you at all times, and your dog listens like they never have before. I mean, my dog Reese's, she didn't even listen to her name. She's a smart dog, but with the collar, when I hit the whistle button, which is another feature, she runs back to me like Lassie. I mean, she knows what I want. I mean, it's amazing.
Now, will we be able to get, like, I'm sure there are going to be different iterations of the collar. Will we one day get one to have Caesar's voice going? Kss, kss, kss. Will we have that?
It has it already.
Oh, it does. Oh my goodness. See, wow.
That's built in. That's one of the sounds. Caesar's famous sound. We recorded it in his recording studio, and it's built right into the collar.
I love that. That is awesome. And Romil, what was the biggest challenge for you guys over at Core to get the Halo collar what we see today?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to steal really any thunder from Ken and the great work his co-founders and his team have done in designing a fantastic solution, or certainly the secret sauce and magic that Caesar brings to the environment. But look, what we do, our small part of delivering these exciting end-to-end solutions, is providing a series of managed services that make it possible for the Kens of the world and the Caesars of the world to do what they do, right? And that includes connecting you anywhere in 190 countries, right? So IoT connectivity, IoT solutions, and analytics. That's kind of what we talk about as Core. So, one of the other interesting use cases we did that actually got to present at the King of Spain last year was with a customer called Swoop Aero, who delivers via drone mission-critical supplies to hard-to-find places or hard-to-get-to places, right? So whether it's the Malawi or the Democratic Republic of Congo, or even in the northern part of Scotland, in the Shetland Islands, it'll take you 2 days of, barges and trains and walking to get to some of these villages. Well, you can't do a COVID test like that. You can't provide critical supplies. And so this drone can carry a 3-kilogram payload, but it needs to be connected all the time. Well, what's the other problem with these rural areas? There's no cell towers, right? So it's got to seamlessly go from cellular to satellite and back and make sure this. And so these kinds of, I call them use cases that are just fun to everyone, 120 plus countries, Caesar's on television on, for example, and providing that ubiquitous global connectivity will be Core's contribution.
I just had a customer today, by the way, text me that they took their dog down to Mexico, set up the invisible fence, and the collar roamed perfectly on the Mexican cellular network, and she was extremely happy. I mean, just to be able to take your dog with you anywhere safely. And like you said earlier, actually, it's really about the confidence you have. Like, anyone could let their dog off leash, but if you do that, you're scared. You feel it, and then your dog feels it. And that's what Caesar Talk's all about. So, you need the calm confidence, you need the rules, boundaries, and limitations that Halo sets up. And it really creates a whole new life with you and your dog.
You know what? And even like dog owners who have their dogs on a leash are kind of scared too, because some of those dogs, man, they will walk you. So,
yeah.
So I definitely get it. And one of the cool things I like about and Romil, just want to give you guys a shout out for what you guys are doing in that space with COVID testing and things like that. I want to really give Core a shout out when it comes to that. Really help meeting the need of the challenge of this situation. Really, really admirable what you guys are doing. And one thing I appreciate about the Halo collar is you try to train and instruct dog owners as well. You know, the tutorials, the app. You know, why was that so important to make that a feature of this awesome innovation?
Well, part of that is because when I did some research on the invisible fence, I actually went by many people's houses who had it and asked them, their opinion of it. I saw a lot of dogs who maybe were trained on the fence, but they weren't well trained at all. So they were jumping on me, barking at me. And the owner was like, just get on the other side of the fence and you'll be safe. And I was like, that's not what Halo Collar is about. It's really almost like the idea is well beyond the invisible fence, but it's about communicating with your dog. Like, for example, Caesar was working with some pretty famous celebrities, as he would normally do, who had just had a baby, and they were worried about their dog and being with the baby. And what Caesar said to them was, look, when you're worried, and you're worried when the baby's around, then the dog is going to associate that worry with the baby and blame the baby. So he said, put a beacon in with the bassinet. That's just a little silver dollar sized device that essentially creates a little mini fence around it. It's like a Bluetooth beacon, and your dog won't go near it the same way they won't go past the fence. And all of a sudden they had this new confidence with the baby. Everyone got along, and it just can really change everything to have a technology to help people who don't really understand dogs. So if you go through the training and it's all designed by Caesar, not only are you going to have a dog who won't leave the boundaries, but you're going to have a very well-trained dog and a great relationship with your dog.
One thing that really impressed me about this innovation and what really drew me to the company, not only my mother and her situation, was my community. I'm a quadriplegic, been one for over 29 years, coming up this month. And I've always been a dog lover. But I know, me being a person with a disability, it's hard for me to care for a dog. This innovation right here will open up a lot of doors for a lot of us who are dog owners who can't afford to get support animals, because support animals are very, very expensive if you get ones that have truly been trained since they were younger. So this piece of innovation right here, I think, as we talk more and more about it, it's going to give people more and more confidence who are part of the aging and adult population, those part of the disabled community, to get a dog, because when we have dogs in our life, we're more happier.
Oh, yes.
Couldn't agree more, Paul. And thank you for sharing that. Sorry, Ken, just to make a comment. Thank you for sharing that. Look, let me just say that it's not just to your point of you can own one, right, and feel confident with it. You can roam with one to the degree that that you're going anywhere. And this is what just absolutely, to me, crushes this, right? So not only is it a far less invasive, far cheaper solution than your classic electric fence around your home lot and so forth, it's mobile, right? So you set up the geofence, as we would call it technically, right? Wherever you go, right? You're on the beach, you put it up, right? You go to visit an aunt or uncle, you set it up around their home, right? It is just the freedom to, like you said, own and enjoy that relationship, and to let the animal feel free. It truly is a fantastic innovation.
No, it is. It's awesome. And when we look at the IoT, and I remember when we first heard that term at CES, it had to be like 4 or 5 years ago, when Steve Koenig gave his industry speech that he always gives, and he talked about being the intelligence of things. I'm sorry, the Internet of Things. And then, like the year of the pandemic, the last CES in person that we had before we had this one, that's when Steve talked about being the intelligence of things. How the IoT has kind of morphed into that, and the technology that's being used here, Romil. How has the advancements in AI and different technologies out there really put into this awesome piece of innovation, and how has it been able to help this innovation to be unleashed beyond everyone's wildest dreams?
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Because I've probably been to some of those speeches you're talking about, Paul, right? Yeah. So look, some 10 years ago, when M2M was starting to become IoT, right? And all the hype was crazy. And let's face it, we've stayed as an IoT industry, if you want to call us that, we're not real industry, in hype land perhaps for too long. And we can get into hours of conversation about why and the wherefores, but look at how far it's come. That's what's exciting. So this last decade started from maybe simple dots on the map tracking, typically in fleets of some kind, cars, trucks, whatever those things were, right? And we wanted to track where they were. And then we wanted to get smarter about them. And we wanted to put a geofence around where the driver was supposed to be at any point in time. And if they left that geofence, we knew, hey, something's wrong now, right? Well, why is this driver gone off track? Well, that same geofence type technology is being used with Halo today, right? As the developments happen. And then we said, the regulations and compliance folks came in and said, boy, drivers need to get more rest because there's too many accidents happening. And so we put electronic logging of drivers, ELD as it's called in the fleet telematics industry. We put that technology in to make sure that the truck can't even start for 8 hours at night, right? To make sure that the driver's getting rest. And now where that has come is video telematics. So there's up to 4 video cameras now on these trucks, 2 in the front cab, 1 looking back, 1 looking forward, 2 in the back, taking care of the hold and making sure the cargo is safe. And now you've got real artificial intelligence, to your point, at the edge, telling the driver, hey, you're getting drowsy, making sounds and noises. Again, very much like what Ken's adapted for the Halo collar to keep the dog on track, we're doing with drivers. And by the way, just like this is about lives for dogs, video telematics is saving lives of human beings and lots of losses that insurance companies, millions and millions of dollars, really care about. In fact, we have a video with a customer of ours, Grupo Cabat, down in Mexico, where on our video solution, we saw the kidnappers stop this car, stop the driver, get the driver out, take him into their car and take off with him. And this car that he was driving was probably going to be taken to some location and stripped for parts and nobody would ever see it again. Well, it didn't start because the telematics solution locked it down, right? And within about 90 minutes, that individual, that driver, was rescued by the Mexican police and brought back. And so, so I just say, okay, we're now at the level of maturity after these last 10 years to where IoT is real. And boy, what's the next decade got for us with 5G, edge, and everything else, to your point. So anyway, I'll stop, but there's lots of stories of IoT for good.
No, I love it. I love it. And also when we look at what's going on with, with Meta and everything now, it's like everything's going to be something, really different and everything. And it's going to be really, really awesome. Really, really awesome.
Sure. Well,
okay.
I would say I just really appreciate you having me. We're very excited to bring kind of freedom and safety using course technology really worldwide. We're just at the beginning, and we really appreciate you having us on and letting us have the opportunity to talk about how Halo can really change dogs' lives and people's lives, which is really what Caesar is always focused on, is training people rather than training dogs. So people speak phones, Caesar speaks dog, and Halo kind of bridges that gap.
That is so true. And Romil, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, look. So again, I'll echo Ken. Thanks for having us. It's actually been really fun to chat with you, Paul. You're clearly a bit of a tech head as well. So I look forward to maybe talking technology with you some more. But I'll leave you with one thought, right? Which is that just on this theme of this decade of IoT that's upon us, I really believe 2021 to 2030, we're going to go from 20 billion connected devices in the world to something like 95 to 100 connected, with most of those, with about 75 billion of those being in the IoT space, right? And, you look back to the Industrial Revolution and what caused it: supply chain shortages, the Black Plague, and right, all of this, right, all the labor shortages. What does that sound like? Sounds like us right now. So the innovation that's coming out of supply chain and COVID and pandemic and having to adapt, telehealth everything, connected health everything. Look, I think the digital revolution is getting turbocharged this next 10 years. I think 5G, AIoT, and edge is like what steam and coal was for the Industrial Revolution. And like I say, I look forward to coming back and discussing some of those trends with you. Thank you again.
Really enjoyed my chat with Ken, and Ken brought out his furry friend. Halo is awesome. I tell you, that innovation is really, really superb. And great talking to Romil too. Just talking about the great innovation that the Core is doing as well. I'm going to have Romil back on again and talk about Core and some of the great things. See some of that the footage and all the things that they're able to do because of that technology. Tech for good. That's what it's all about. And I had to throw in the Cesar Milan question, right? That is really awesome. I'll tell you, we live in a really amazing time when it comes to technology, how it can help us to be able to care for our furry friends. And also the technology behind that is really meeting the need, helping underserved communities out there, and also saving people's lives. So that's really, really awesome. You never know. All right, when we get back, we're going to talk about another request that we had from our viewers and our listeners for us to cover, and that's fintech and some of the great innovation being done out there by this one particular company. We'll be right back after these messages.
In this world of technology, things are ever changing, rearranging. You need someone to help you out. I know someone who can. You'll never be alone. You'll be with Paul. I'm a dead slain in the tech zone.